Laverne and Shirley won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today we talk all about the Nintendo Entertainment System.
The NES, the original NES.
Beep, bop, boop, boop, beep, ba-da, boop, 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 beep, bop, ba-doo-doo.
Yeah, it's there's really no theme song for Nintendo. I was trying to find something, and I'm like, oh, that's not gonna work because
I'll just do all the
literally
music
there's not any Nintendo. But it was just fine. But yes, Super Mario obviously is synonymous with Nintendo.
Yes.
So take yourself back to 1985. There were lots of fun gadgets coming out in 1985, like car phones.
Ooh, you know, my stepdad, he didn't have one of those big,
The giant
white
brick?
ones.
Yeah.
He had this giant shoebox, this
yeah.
Alpine phone. It was super tricked out looking. It had all these, looked like an Alpine stereo. It had all these cool lights and stuff.
They made phones?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was ridiculously awesome, but it was like this giant shoebox with a handle that he carried, and it was like
A giant brick briefcase.
Yeah, it was very cool.
That was the car phones I was actually referring to. There were also radio pagers. That was a big thing for a while.
What's the difference?
It went off radio frequency. Yeah, pagers don't exist anymore. It doesn't matter.
What?
Yeah, I know.
But I give out my pager number all the time.
Your 400 pagers you have are not worth anything anymore.
I was the pager king, baby.
It was also the debut of the Sony Discman, so you could take your CDs wherever you wanted and listen to the music.
Except that it'd skip
yeah.
if you took 3 steps.
Yeah. Unless eventually, the first one I got had an anti-shock thing so that the CD would actually bounce inside of it, and I was like, yeah, it still doesn't help.
Nope. Can't go jogging with your Discman. And driving with your Discman could be also problematic.
Yes. And also the Laserdisc, that was big in 1985.
Still, to this day,
but
I will say it is the best quality.
They really went all out. It kind of was like the beta to VHS. It just, unfortunately, DVD just dwarfed it, and it was easier to market.
Loved it. I had one for years.
Laserdisc is amazing.
The Star Wars special edition on Laserdisc is the best edition there is.
Nice.
100%.
And my personal favorite, the Seiko Computer Watch, because I had a lot of calculator watches growing up.
So it's just a calculator. It's not a real
It wasn't
computer.
a computer. No, it was just a calculator. But I had to constantly, I literally had like 10 of them because I would break them all the time.
Because you were always calculating.
Yeah, I was madly, fiercely calculating.
Yes. Your math habit was dangerous.
It was formulations of how cool I was.
It was math madness.
But you know what 1985 didn't have?
What?
A successful video game system.
Oh, yeah, video games were dead.
Because 1983, the video game market crashed completely and totally. In fact...
Thank you, E.T., the video game.
Okay, let's not blame E.T.
No, E.T.
E.T. was
go to hell.
E.T. was a... well, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But
stink finger.
It was a symptom of a larger problem in that they... It really, honestly, at the end of the day, it was Atari that kind of ruined it.
It was saturation, too.
Because, they oversaturated. But it was because Atari did not have control over their third-party licenses. And anybody could make a video game, and the large majority of them were really bad.
Well, let me tell you, as a video game guy back then, there was a plateau. I mean, things could only go so far. The graphics could only go so far. The games could only go so far. And it just kind of hit a ceiling, and we all got bored.
It was amazing because in 1982, the video game market sold over $3.2 billion worth of product.
That's 82.
1982.
Billion. So if you adjust that for inflation, it's $100 trillion.
Yeah, it's a lot. By 1984, the video game market was selling only $100 million.
Wow.
97% decrease over 2 years.
Good God.
Yeah, it was huge.
Has any other business crashed that? Well, maybe
not that I know of. But that stuff has phased out. It was nothing had ever been that fast like that. As far as I know.
Something that was still alive, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, it was still around, but nobody was making new video game systems. Until Nintendo said, no, we are going to make this computer system. This computer system is going to be successful.
Did they spell we, W-I-I?
Yes, they did. Little did they know, later they would know.
Prophecy.
But the video game crash was crazy. The Atari 2600 owned 58% of the market. ColecoVision controlled 17% of the market.
Now, that was my jam.
ColecoVision was great. It was
amazing.
It was a better machine, but the guys at Coleco were kind of under the table, like
a little shady.
They did some shady things.
Well, look, it was a groundbreaking system because the controller had like all these keypad buttons and different buttons, and the joystick moved differently, and it also had this slot in the front where you could buy an Atari adapter, a Jaguar adapter. You could buy what was the other one? The Commodore 64 adapter.
64, to play their games.
Mm-hmm. So you could basically, with the Coleco, play everything. It was the best, and the graphics were great. I mean, it was the best Donkey Kong on the market.
Yeah, and that was the thing is Nintendo had released Donkey Kong. They created Donkey Kong as an arcade game, and with the ColecoVision, it was the first time. Yeah, oh yeah,
got me into games.
Oh yeah. They had licensed Donkey Kong to ColecoVision, and it was the first time you were able to play an arcade game at home.
It was amazing. I'm telling you, it was amazing to be able to get Donkey Kong at home. You don't understand, like kids today. You don't understand, man. You mean you pump quarters in,
right?
And then, you
arcades were huge.
Yeah,
huge.
And we had like Pong, and we had Atari.
The home stuff was like Pitfall, which you got bored after 30 minutes.
And ColecoVision promised, and they also delivered on those promises.
They did. They were good that way. By 1983, the video game market was up 100%, but manufacturing was also up, but up 175%, which essentially caused a market saturation and collapse. To do some economics 101, you oversaturate a market, the money goes down.
Yeah.
And also, on top of that, too, was that the personal computing market was becoming much bigger and putting a dent in the video game market.
Now, as a gamer around that time, that's when I switched, because I had a Apple II or Apple II Plus, and my nerd buddies and I started playing Wolfenstein and Ultima because graphics are better, games are deeper. I mean, Ultima was like...
Oh, it was amazing.
It was like one of the first RPGs.
Yeah.
And it was just so well done and so engrossing. And Castlevania... you got to dress up as a Nazi, and you go. I mean, it was like really cool. It was like an adventure. They really put stories behind the games in the computers.
Wait, Castlevania or Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein,
not Castlevania. You dress up as a Nazi in Castlevania.
You dress up as a Nazi vampire.
It might be like
in Wolfenstein.
Maybe the Nazis' dream of what they want to look like.
Yeah. Well, yes, Wolfenstein, not Castlevania.
But that's it was really the beginning. That 1983 was really the beginning of the console versus PC war that still goes today. Not as big, but
there's room for everybody now.
Well, yeah, because especially now because consoles are much more advanced than the PCs were back in the day.
The PCs, like, I have never thought about building a gaming PC before. I've always been a console, since I've never really been a PC guy. I've always been a Mac guy. Mm-hmm. But just recently, I've been thinking about, well, it'd be kind of fun to build a PC, a gaming rig, and see,
Yeah.
I just don't have the patience.
I don't either, and it's I like the whole console aspect. I like having a gamepad. Like
I can't. I take all that back. I can't use
a keyboard.
I can't
use
a keyboard.
Just and I realize that's the thing is that you could build a gaming PC and then you use a gamepad and then all the other gaming PC guys think that you're stupid.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to worry about what the other gaming PC.
If you're not using a keyboard, you're not a real PC gamer, Jim.
Well, is that on? Sorry, read that on 8chan.
You know where I stand on this debate.
I do.
By the time 1983, Atari had sold 15 million Atari 2600 units.
Can I just back up for one second, since we were talking about Donkey Kong? Just 1 second. Do you know that Donkey Kong was the first game in history to have jumping?
No.
Yeah. It was the first game to introduce jumping, which is probably the most...
it was the beginning of physics in games, essentially.
I know I'm a speed bump, but I thought that was an important fact.
If you ever have a chance, watch the documentary, what's it called?
Console Wars?
No, the King Kong documentary about the guy trying to break the record.
King of Kong?
King of Kong. If you ever have a chance to watch the King of Kong, it's a great documentary. And they do go into the history of Donkey Kong there.
That was so... I mean, just another tangent. What was so funny about those games back then is it was all math.
Yeah.
It was all patterns.
It was all
whether it was Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or whatever, it was just you figure out the pattern, you could go forever.
Yeah. And that's still there's still definitely like 2D side-scrolling games that do that, like Cuphead, which is very much like if you can get that thing down, you can get that sequence down, you got the game.
Did you play Cuphead?
No, God, no. It's hard. No.
It looks good.
Nintendo was adamant because they knew that Donkey Kong was selling really well with ColecoVision, and they were like, okay, we can create a home video game system.
And let's just go back with Nintendo for just a second. They've been around since the late 1800s as a gaming...
1889. Yeah. They started as a playing card company.
Exactly, and then they started making...
It's a
novelty
deep company.
Games.
I was eventually getting that, yes.
Sorry.
They were adamant. This is something that the company constantly changed. They started as a playing card company. One of the most interesting things that I thought was that they created such good playing cards that it almost ruined their company because people wouldn't keep buying playing cards because they were so durable and lasted so long. So they actually created cheaper playing cards that would be dead after a year, and then they'd have to buy more playing cards.
And the original playing cards were used in several murders because they were so thick that if you just chuck them at a guy, it sticks right in their forehead.
It's like Gambit from the X-Men.
Yes, that's where Gambit got his cards from Nintendo.
1889 Nintendo. Yeah. Okay. So in
Easter egg.
1983, actually shortly before that, 1980, they actually started coming up with what they called the Famicom, which is the Family Computer Gaming System, which was the original Nintendo.
You know, I've heard the name Famicom for probably, 30, 40 years?
Yeah.
I never knew that that's what
it's
a
family computer.
For. No.
It was actually named by the CEO's wife because they were trying to get away from calling it a video game system.
Yeah, but Famicom, it makes so much sense, but I never put it together.
It was released in Japan. It was a home computer video game hybrid. There was lots of peripherals you could attach to it, like a keyboard, a disk system, a modem, so you could get online. Ooh. I know. This is 1983.
That's the modem sound for those too young to know.
Oh, man, those were not. Yeah. Lots of modem sounds I don't need to ever hear again. And not you did it fine. It's just that was
yes. I'm the Michael Winslow of this century.
Modems just made me think about the fact that you would have to spend 12 minutes downloading one picture, and it would be the worst. You'd be like, why did I waste my time doing this?
I never used a modem really.
Oh,
I don't think I skipped a big chunk of computer time.
I was an early adopter.
Yeah, I had a friend who was an early adopter, and I would watch him try to download this super pixelated booby picture.
Yeah.
And he would just be it's
down, and you're
it's like watching
almost. Yeah. I think I see a nipple. Oh my god!
It's like the slowest dot matrix printer on the planet, and it's just the grossest thing. Just dude sitting there yep, here comes the nip.
That's so gross.
Dudes are sick. They're disgusting.
But to reiterate how great of a company Nintendo is, the first systems they sold in July of 1983, when they released the Famicom in Japan, the first systems had faulty motherboards.
Ooh.
The game would freeze, not a lot, but enough that it was noticed, and the game would freeze. And so right before Christmas in 1983, Nintendo willingly recalled all of the Famicom systems.
Wow.
Lost millions of dollars to put new motherboards in the systems, and then started reselling them again.
Great idea, though. I mean, that's going to give loyalty to that company. I mean,
and it was
the right thing. It's like so many companies don't realize that if you do the right thing, it might cost you the money now, but it's going to make you a lot more money in the long run.
As evidenced by the fact that by the end of 1984, they had sold 2.5 million Famicom units.
Holy moly!
So
I was right.
It was smart on their part. But
that rhymed.
as successful as they were in Japan, they were really adamant about getting into North America.
Oh yeah, that's because where the money is.
Yeah, big money in North America.
We'll buy anything.
Much bigger consumer base and
greedy consumer base. Gimme.
We like to be told what to buy. So they originally wanted to work with Atari because Atari was huge.
Yeah, they were the man.
They originally wanted to work with Atari to market the new machine, and they called it the Nintendo Advanced Video System, which was very similar to the Famicom, the AVS. It was very similar to the Famicom in that it had peripherals, and it had the original light zapper, which could actually fold in half. You fold it in half to look like a gun, but then you unfold it to look like a wand, and you could use it as a wand and for other games.
The zapper in Japan looked like a real gun. Like a real gun.
Yeah,
They couldn't do that here.
No, they definitely could not do that here. Even in 1985, they couldn't do that here.
It's nope.
So the summer of 1983, the deal was almost finalized to sell the Famicom in North America, with final signatures to be executed at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Done deal.
The CES. Yeah. It's a big deal. Happens in Vegas every year. They release a lot of new technology, and the video game system video games are very big there.
You ever been?
No. It's a lot of nerds.
I'd love to go though.
It would be fun. It would be fun.
Yeah.
So they're introducing it, but during that CES, Atari saw Coleco illegally using Donkey Kong on their new machine. They were the next generation machine they were calling the Coleco Adam, which we all know would have been the best machine just due to its name.
Yes, of course. Did they name it after you? I heard that they did.
No, it actually stood for something, but it's been lost to time because the Coleco Adam obviously never was
say it was
actually
named
made.
after
Yes, it was named after me in 1983.
It couldn't live up to what Adam is as a person, so they scrapped it.
So Coleco had they had licensed Donkey Kong for the ColecoVision, but not for the new machine. Atari assumed Nintendo was working with them and got super butthurt about it and canceled the deal.
They didn't talk to them?
No. Well, eventually they did.
Atari...
Eventually they cleared it up, but unfortunately it was too late. By that point, the video game crash of 1983 was well in effect, and the CEO was fired. Wow. And the majority of their
he should have been fired. I mean, if you don't go and talk to... I mean, you don't get butthurt about something you see at CES and not like be, hey, what's up, guys?
You have to understand that at this point, by July of 1983...
Cocaine? Was it cocaine?
No, the crash was happening.
Okay.
And like they were freaking out.
Right.
They were freaking out. And the fact that
they
there
needed
was
to buy cocaine.
Any undercut at all, they were pissed off about it. After the Atari CEO was fired, a bunch of senior execs left and went to start Worlds of Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a toy company that
Teddy
created
Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin.
One of the creepiest toys. Did you ever see a Teddy Rux?
That was a huge selling toy, though.
Did you have one?
Huge. No, God, no.
My friend's little sister had one. And the worst thing about it was, it moved a step, and it would always go... You'd hear like the servers
gears,
moving.
Yeah.
I'm Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, it was so creepy. It was so creepy, but it sold really well. I mean, it was a huge.
Kill your mother.
1984. So let's forward a year to CES 1984. Nintendo brought the Advanced Video System. It was essentially a home computer. They also had, besides the gamepads, a handheld joystick, a 3-octave musical keyboard you could attach to it, and the Zapper light gun. This is all like they're doing this now with like the Wii and the Switch, and like they've been doing all this like the weird cardboard thing where it was like, hey, build these weird gadgets and
like you can use in the game.
Nintendo they definitely push the boundaries a lot when it comes
Nintendo
to...
is a family entertainment system.
Yes.
They don't have gory Doom. They don't have a lot of bloody, sexy games.
No, in fact, to the point where they're actually now there's policies, like written policies on what they can and can't do at Nintendo.
Which is fine because there needs to be. It sounds stupid, but I think there needs to be a wholesome video game system.
Of course.
Where you can go and just be Kirby or...
Yeah, I mean, I don't want my 5-year-old to play Doom. Like...
Where's your 5-year-old?
He's hidden in a closet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he never comes out.
It's very quiet.
They also had what they called the Family Basic package, which
That's
was
mean
a
for
data...
basic family?
It was Basic was a programming language.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It had a data recorder and a keyboard because they really wanted to make sure that people thought it was a home computer and not a video game system.
Well, something that could be upgraded too, it sounds like. With
the
peripherals.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it would be more equivalent right now to like the Apple II than it would be to like a PlayStation.
Sure.
Well,
they were trying to be all things to all people, kind of.
Yeah, because I mean, they were going with the market. They knew that the video game became a pariah, so they were like, okay, how can we sell this, repackage it, and sell it?
You kind of need a shotgun strategy or approach. Because you don't know what the market's going to hold. So the more you put out there, the more that I want a computer, but I want a video game system, but I want something to shoot at. So it's like everybody in the family gets what they want.
Right, exactly. But despite having over a 90% market share in Japan,
good God,
literally no one in North America was interested in 1984.
Well, they were gun shy.
They were like, nope.
They were gun shy because of E.T.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever play
E.T.? I did. I mean, I tried to play E.T.
Yeah.
I tried. Oh yeah. We owned it. My brother bought it. It was I mean, I think I maybe played it for a total of 3 minutes because it was awful.
So weird.
It was just awful.
But a game was good. Did you ever play the Raiders of the Lost Ark game?
Oh yeah. That was super fun. Awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, fast forward another year to CES in 1985, and Nintendo brought the newly designed Nintendo Entertainment System.
NES.
The NES.
I know what that stood for.
The little gray lunchbox, as they called it in Japan.
Yep.
They actually hired a bunch of North American or American people, designers, to change it because the original Famicom was like white and red and like...
It was cool looking.
Very toy-like. Mm-hmm. But they were trying to... The idea in North America was to get away from that, but still market as a toy, but a more sophisticated toy.
Well, that's the difference. I think, in Japan, they like colorful, they want their toys to be toys, and they want them to look, fun and colorful and whatever. In America, we're kind of boring.
Playtime.
And
here we mix that a lot.
Yeah, we want something cool.
I want to have fun at my job.
Yeah, exactly. I want to hook this up to my.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is that the new Nintendo, the new NES, the reason it had the front loading is because they were trying to make it designed to look like a VCR.
Oh wow!
Because VCR was very popular at that point.
Oh yeah.
And they were trying to get people to think of it as more of like a peripheral for your TV rather than just like, hey, give it to your kids. It's like for you to sit down and play. Also, the gentle push, as they call it, the front loading system, meant that the connectors would not be exposed and no one could shock themselves.
That makes sense.
Apparently that happened a lot with the test markets in North America with the top-loading Famicom system.
Could be an extra feature.
Because American kids are idiots.
Yeah, well,
Not all of them.
But the ones that shoot missiles into their throats, from G.I. Joe toys, and the ones that shock themselves or stick forks in. That's Darwin, I think.
So they avoided any reference to video games. They called it Game Pack for the cartridges. They called it a control deck for the console and an entertainment system for the whole platform to get away from it being called a video game.
Sneaky.
In October of 1985, a 12-person team was sent to New York to test market the NES with a $50 million budget.
What?
Yes.
What year was this?
1985. In October 12th, 1985, they moved from Redlands over to New York and were trying to put it into as many toy stores as possible in New York. These guys worked 7 days a week between October 12th and December 24th, 16 to 18 hours a day. All of them were constantly quoted as saying, I have never worked this hard before.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw interviews with some of them. And it was just like, it was crunch time.
But they were committed to it. They believed in it. Nintendo believed in them. Nintendo of Japan believed in them. They said, okay, you can do this. They had an unprecedented deal. They would essentially front the retailers. They would front them 90 days of credit. And if they didn't sell the product, they didn't have to buy it. They could return it.
Yeah, that'd never been done before.
No. But Nintendo believed in this, and they wanted it to happen. They also, part of the 12-person team is that they would go and set up all the displays and do all that stuff.
Yeah, all of them in person. It wasn't like they had a bunch of interns and stuff.
They
did all the work
themselves. Store never did any of it because nobody believed in video games.
Right, and they wanted to also foster like real personal relationships with these the businesses, so to get loyalty and to show them that they care.
And in fact, the retailers believed in it so much that one of them said, quote, "It's your funeral."
Hey, I mean, look, you gotta give credit to these guys. I mean, Nintendo, in terms of a company, takes amazing risks.
Yes.
But they're calculated risks.
Yes.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when people are like, "You're insane, $50 million to promote this, this thing that's going to be a bust." Exactly, it's your funeral, dum-dum.
All right.
But they're like, "Well, I think
if you want to give us the product and then we sell it and take your money, cool.
Sure.
Let's do that." The big get they had was getting a 15-foot space at FAO Schwartz.
Oh yeah.
That 15-foot space had a dozen playable NES systems.
For anybody who doesn't know, FAO Schwartz was the biggest toy store in the country. It's in New York.
Yes.
It's like a 2-3 story.
Been
in a ton of movies. It's like, it's like the mecca of toy stores.
You've ever seen Big, the keyboard scene is done at FAO Schwartz.
Yeah. I mean, a million movies, but it was just, I don't even, did it close?
I don't think they're open anymore. No.
That's sad because it was I don't know. It was
a huge
Have you ever
store.
been? Were you ever,
No.
Oh my God. I was lucky enough to go there.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, I wish I was older, you know.
Yeah, you should have been older.
But if I was a little kid, man, that would have been Mecca, man. I mean, that would have been like the holy place.
So another smart move. So the whole deal is that those dozen playable NESs they had, I keep saying NES system, which is like saying ATM machine, and I keep trying to not say that. the dozen
you could
playable
say the NE system.
No, nobody says that. Who says that? The dozen playable NES displays they had surrounding another giant television, it featured the game baseball.
Ooh.
Now, it was a sports game. And to sell this...
Baseball was a sports game?
At that time, there was lots of fantasy games and things. And sports games didn't really exist. I mean, they kind of... I mean... bad Atari baseball games, but like it was never good.
There were handheld sports games.
Yes.
You know, like that awesome football game that everybody had.
Oh, man, that was so much fun. There was a baseball one of those too I really enjoyed. Those are really fun. But so what they did is Nintendo hired 12 Major League Baseball players to literally play the video game baseball at FAO Schwartz.
Brilliant.
And they would sign autographs, and they would hang out and get people interested in the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was incredible. Such smart marketing.
Oh man,
smart marketing.
That $50 million was not wasted.
No, God, no, it definitely was not. The original set that was being sold was called the Deluxe set, which included the control deck, 2 game pads, the Zapper light gun, and Rob the Robot, and two games, Gyromite and Duck Hunt, to use with the light gun. And Rob the Robot.
Now, what did Rob do?
Rob was the robotic operation buddy.
Yeah.
Literally standing for Rob. But the thing is that it allowed them to market it as a toy.
Sure.
Because it was not... I remember back in this day, I mean, there was like a lot of weird toy... like robot things. I mean,
Teddy Ruxpin, robot.
Yeah,
it was like
kind of things, you know,
like stuff that they're saying is robots, but it's just really creepy servo moving things that.
There was just weird. It was a weird time,
and the recordings were always so bad. It was like,
I will eat your baby.
Yes, and I don't know why Teddy Ruxpin said that all the time.
It was weird. But because they were allowed to market as a toy. It sold huge. I mean, that was a huge part of everybody wanted Rob. Everybody wanted Rob.
But what did Rob do? Can you tell me what Rob did?
Rob really didn't do anything. Rob barely worked.
That's what I'm saying.
In fact, at this point, by the time they were selling it in 1985 and then early 1986, in February, they opened up new markets like LA and San Francisco and stuff. And then eventually in September, they went national with the NES. But by February of 1986... they literally stopped selling the Rob in Japan because it never worked.
Yeah, Rob's a footnote, baby. He didn't last. Because I remember when we ended up getting an NES in college, you know, so that was like 87, 88.
So despite the fact that Rob wasn't selling well in Japan and stopped working, they went.
Do you know what did Rob stand for again?
Robotic Operating Buddy. This is the most Japanese thing I've ever heard.
So it should have been RNB, so robotic non-operating buddy.
That's true. That is true. So in September 1986, when they released nationally in North America the game, they also launched 16 titles with it, including.
That's a pretty decent thing.
Yeah.
Well, the launch titles were 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clue Land. Ooh, Clue Land?
I've never played that. I don't even know what that is.
That sounds a little
I don't think
Ku
it sold
Klux
well.
Klan. But anyway, Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Golf, Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, which had nothing to do with Hogan's Heroes, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Pinball, Soccer, Stack Up, Tennis, Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew.
Hogan's Alley was a game that you played with the light zapper.
Ooh.
It was literally you as like a detective, and you had to shoot people in alleyways.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember that.
It was super weird, but it was fun. Yeah. But it was super weird.
I remember Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt was great. It was such a fun game. Unfortunately, because it was the mid-'80s and Japan was doing very well, the 12-person team faced a lot of discrimination. 11 of the 12 of them were not Asian.
Oh. Wait, discrimination from whom?
Anybody that realized they were from a Japanese company.
Oh, really? So people in America, they weren't facing discrimination in Japan.
No, they were facing discrimination by New Yorkers. I didn't include any of the quotes, but there were some really awful things said to them.
Really? You mean American people saying awful things?
But like, it would be like me saying to you, as a white guy, you work for an Asian company, you're awful.
And this is before the internet. This is before anonymous S-posting, you know, where you could just be as much of an anonymous jerk as you want. You'd have to actually get into somebody's face physically and be like, you are blah, blah, blah because of bloop.
It was just awful, and despite all this, I mean, the team continued anyway because they believed in the company.
Good.
But, for a good example of how awful Americans were to the Japanese and Asians in general during the 80s, you just need to watch the Michael Keaton movie Gung Ho.
Yeah, which is a Ron Howard movie, isn't it?
Yeah, but now, granted, it has a good ending because they eventually realized that you know, it's like, okay, they wanted to help us, and they actually saved the car factory and all that stuff.
Yeah, but we got to watch George Wendt be super anti-Asian for like an hour and a half.
That was hard, man. He's a nicer guy guy than that. Like,
Hey, so Cheers, come on,
he's
Norm.
a good actor. He's a good actor because I believed it. He was the first sale of their Nintendo Entertainment System and 15 games. They realized afterwards was sold to a Japanese competitor. A man walked in working for another Japanese company and bought the first system and took it in. I'm assuming to tear it apart and figure out how it worked.
Reverse engineer.
Yes, thank you. That is it. So they added LA and other top test markets before their nationwide rollout in September of 1986. The deluxe set was originally sold for $249.
Damn, which is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but it had a lot of value. I mean, it had the broken robot. And
so the one with all of the peripherals was $249. Oh wow, that's a good price.
Because my parents bought me in 1986, the Christmas 1986, bought me the Nintendo Entertainment System that had Super Mario Brothers in it, and I'm 100% certain that was like $99. I don't think it was more than that.
Were you upset that you didn't get Rob the Robot?
I did not give two craps about Rob the Robot.
Even back then,
it looked so janky. I was like, nope. Plus,
isn't the Muppet robot character kind of based on him? The 70s robot?
Probably. He looked very similar to Tom Servo from the Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were, Worlds of Wonder did Teddy Ruxpin and Laser Tag. That was two biggest sellers. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you want to talk about Laser Tag.
All right, so Laser Tag, you would buy these kits and then have like a chest thing and a
like
gun
strapped onto you over your shoulders like a backpack.
My buddy Larry and I back in the day, we would do this thing where if it was Christmas, we would buy each other presents that we could use together. You know, so it would be like one year we did laser tag. I bought him laser tag, he bought me laser tag.
Oh, nice.
We're like, we're going to run around and shoot the hell out of each other on Christmas Day. It was awful. It didn't really hit. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. And it was, I think we probably played around with it for about 2 hours until we were like, nope.
Yeah, it was, laser tag was a bit like Rob the Robot, whatever. It didn't really work. A lot of promises and very underwhelming.
Well, I mean, it did get better and there were big laser. This is not the same laser tag as
not like an arena or the place you go pay $20 to shoot people for an hour.
It was the beginning of that.
Yes.
It was the prototype of that, but they should have made it work better.
Yeah. Well, you know, at that point, the big thing...
Larry cried.
Poor Larry. I feel bad for Larry.
He, to this day, he never got over it. Yeah.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, it was, it would be disappointing. But the 80s was all about fad toys. I mean,
and hype.
The Worlds of Wonder, they agreed, they sold, they had to be capped at $1 million per person per year, which is insane. I can't imagine being a toy salesman and literally having a company tell you can't make more than $1 million off of us.
Which means it's probably pretty easy to make $1 million.
Yes.
It's like
it was by far the easiest sell these salespeople had ever had.
It's like you're selling youth.
Everybody wanted it. Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, everybody wanted it. When it was first released in September, the $249 deluxe set turned off a lot of people.
It was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, it was a lot of money, and then they announced they were doing the lower priced version, but still, I remember very specifically thinking, "There's no way! There's no way!" My dad was in construction, and work was hit and miss, and I was like, I want it, but I'm not gonna be sad if we don't. And then he surprised me, and
what a good kid.
Yeah, obviously I wanted it really bad, but I got it. I understood back in the day.
Yeah, your dad's a good dude.
He's a good dude.
Did he play with you?
No, never. He
was
never.
Always like, what you do with the video games?
He was like me in that he understood that I liked it, but he didn't, and that was okay with him.
Nice. So he didn't berate you?
No, he was understandable that he was like, you just do your thing. It's fine.
That must have been nice to have a dad like that. Anyway.
It was. Love you, Dad. So
love you, Adam's dad.
Part of the reason that it sold so well is because Sears put it in their Christmas catalog, and Kmart put it in over 700 of their stores.
Oh, wow.
My first Nintendo was bought at Kmart, which eventually I worked at that Kmart.
Wow, full circle.
Yeah.
And to this day.
Still at Kmart.
Yeah, no.
I commute there every day back to Iowa. They sold 1.1 million consoles in 1986.
Wow.
1.1 million consoles.
When was it released?
Nationally, it was released in September of 1986.
So that's in 4 months.
Well, it was in big markets before that. It was in LA. There was 12 markets before that.
So how many months?
I mean, it was over 12 months.
Oh, okay.
I would say over 12 months. But the bulk of the
Still
sales
impressive.
came in the last quarter, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, that's when they released the more economical model.
the Super Mario system. But they garnered $310 million in sales out of a total market share of $430 million.
We almost got it all.
Almost. They were close. They dominated the market for years. I mean, it was huge. It was huge.
Well, they got in at the right time with the right product and the right games, and nobody else was really doing it because they saw. I mean, this was brilliant about Nintendo, is this is a dead business.
It was
a dead
It
industry.
was literally dead. 2 years they tried, and
Nobody's even going to arcades
anything
anymore. Yeah, it was done, and they come in and like, wait a minute.
I've got a deal for you.
Yeah, it's an amazing testament to the company.
This is something that I didn't realize until recently, that playing Super Mario Brothers was like playing a cartoon.
Yep.
It was Saturday morning cartoons that you controlled.
And you played with your friend.
Yeah, and you got to play with your friends. It was
you played social. Together. It was a co-op game, which was were there many co-op games before then? I mean, in the arcade,
no,
yeah.
I don't. I mean, yeah, in the arcade, but not for home video or for video games.
And that was a brilliant move too, because working together instead of just jumping ahead a little bit. I mean, I remember my favorite games were like Contra or Super Mario Brothers. Stuff where you had to work together to get to the end.
Yeah, to the point, they eventually released 706 games for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Really?
706. There were a total of like 750, but a couple were like their championship cartridges where they did for competitions and stuff.
What was the lifespan?
For the, what do you mean?
Console.
It stopped being made in 1995.
Oh, so about 10 years?
About 10 years.
Oh, that's a still pretty good run. I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, 70 new games a year. By Christmas of 1987, the machine was selling so well that Worlds of Wonder, their sales force, couldn't keep up with their own product. Like, it was outselling Teddy Ruxpin, it was outselling Laser Tag.
Oh, of course. Laser Tag was crap. Teddy Ruxpin was creepy.
It got to the point, it got to the point where
they had one good product.
Nintendo realized that they could do better on their own, so they nixed their relationship with Worlds of Wonder.
Poor Worlds of Wonder.
Causing Worlds of Wonder to go bankrupt.
Womp womp.
It was closed, and all of those salespeople and all the higher-ups at Worlds of Wonder got hired by Nintendo.
Nice. Way to go, Nintendo.
These were the guys, remember, that originally worked for Atari that nixed the original deal.
This is so great.
It's a weird circle, and I can just see Nintendo sitting there going, yes.
But it was good for everyone. It was good for the people who got hired. It was good for Nintendo.
At the end of the day, yes.
It was not good for Teddy Ruxpin. Over 1,000 Teddy Ruxpin bears starved to death.
Which is actually probably better for the country in general.
Could you imagine the landfill of Teddy Ruxpins?
Finding them like the E.T. toys of the E.T. cartridges you randomly find in a landfill. It's like, hey, there's Satan Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, he was creeps.
Super Mario Brothers sold over 40 million copies.
Good Lord.
A lot of those were because they were packaged with the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Still.
Super Mario Bros. 3 is the highest selling, up until a few years ago, was the highest selling standalone game at selling over 9 million copies.
Beaten by Grand Theft Auto 5,
I believe so. I don't actually have that information. But it's just not. It wasn't the number one anymore. Nintendo sold as many consoles in 1988 as the total number of Commodore 64s that had been sold in 5 years.
Good Lord.
By 1990, 30% of American households had an NES.
Yeah, we had one. I was out of video games for a few years, and then in college, one of my roommates got one, and there went my grades.
Essentially, 1 in 3 households had a Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where, and I still remember this, all my friends' moms called every video game system a Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. You going to play Nintendo?
You going to play Nintendo? No, but Mom, I have a Sega Genesis.
Or Kleenex.
Have fun with your Nintendo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was, for years and years. And I was a full-on Nintendo guy. up until the PS2. You know, I had all Nintendo consoles from up until the GameCube, I think.
I switched over with the Xbox. That was my thing. I switched over to that. So the 30% was interesting because at that point in 1990, only 23% of households had personal computers. So not only did Nintendo go, yeah, the computer thing's not going to work, but they sold better than the computer, the thing they were trying to be. One of the reasons that Nintendo did well, and something that they did that Atari didn't do, is that they made sure that they always had the Nintendo seal of approval because they tightly controlled third-party licenses.
Yeah.
Not like Atari. Atari was just like, whatever, do whatever. They were like, no, we want to make sure that everybody that plays Nintendo has a good time.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they were the only company that could produce their own cartridges.
Exactly. So, and, I think Apple took a big hint from them about their corporate structure.
Yeah, exactly. And they implemented a 30% licensing fee, which covered the production of the cartridges and whatever sales.
Because the cartridges, you had to put chips in. You had to put. It wasn't just like a CD where you just.
No, it was. They had to be assembled.
Process,
yeah, they had to be assembled. So,
and you had to blow on them
all
before
the time,
you put them in.
You pray, and you blow.
Come on! I want to play Nintendo.
You push it up and down a bit, and then it's like, no, come on, and they already slide it in just right.
Back it. Yeah. You smack it again.
So but that 30% license fee though became industry standard, and in fact that is still technically the industry standard. It's a little different now with the newer games and stuff.
There's less manufacturing.
Yeah, but that has been they became the industry standard. It was fascinating.
Well, they rebuilt, redefined, and reinvigorated the video game market. So of course, everything.
Video game market would not exist right now if it was not for Nintendo and the NES.
No.
I almost said NES system again.
Stop it. You and your ATM machine.
All right. So anyway, that's the story of the Nintendo and how it is. And I've got a lot more stories, but we're going to go to an interview with a good friend of ours, Sebastian Munoz, and he's going to talk about his wonderful Nintendo history.
Our very, very, very special guest today is a writer, director, producer,
actor,
filmmaker. He heads the Force of Nature Productions. He's a dad. He's a man. And he's a gamer. He's our good friend, Mr. Sebastian Munoz. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great. My God, this is such I've never had received an introduction like that. That's fabulous. Thank you. I'm great. Awesome. And excited to be here. Big fan. Make it a point to not miss my Shady Pines podcast every Tuesday morning at 9. You guys are awesome. I love it.
We're going to drop that check off tomorrow.
I'm glad we have one now.
Yes, that brings us up to one.
Let's talk about the Nintendo.
So, Sebastian, you got the Holy Grail one, with the robot and everything. What was that like?
It was, I was very excited. Being an only child, my mom said, I got to get you this entertainment system. And the reason why I mentioned that is because the original one that I got came this Roby the Robot, and you played this game called Gyromite.
Oh, yeah.
I was excited to, I'm home and I get to play with this robot. It's cool. I feel like I'm living in the future.
It's like you had a little brother.
It really was. It really was. Like I wanted a brother. But
a robot brother.
Yeah. I remember going to Circuit City. You guys remember Circuit City?
Oh, yeah.
And my mom, I don't know how much money she dropped on it. It could not have been cheap.
No.
But I couldn't wait to open it. It was a big box, long box. And I'm putting him together. You open this robot. I'm like, this is cool. I feel like I'm this little science project. I'm doing the science project thing. And you put the remote control on his hands.
Ooh.
And you pop in Gyromite, which is the game where you're like a little doctor, and then you're supposed to control the doctor, the scientist guy, and then Robbie was supposed to open these columns up and down without squishing you.
Right.
But
I see.
Very quickly, I learned that I too had to control Robbie.
Oh.
So at some point you would have to switch back, and Robbie had to unlock and open the columns. And if you didn't do it quick enough, you would always kill yourself. So, and then it started malfunctioning. And
so it's the beginning of the robot uprising.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was Skynet.
Yes.
Skynet.
Cyberdyne Systems.
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
Did you ever get Robbie to work?
No, I think my mom. We went through about 2 or maybe 3 of them.
Oh, geez.
Sounds traumatic.
It was, especially because I wanted a friend.
Yeah, well, yes. To this day, you know.
To this day, I still am hoping that Nintendo will release a Robbie that could scar my childhood, like fix the scar in my childhood.
Well, look, man, we all wanted a robot friend back then. That was the dream, man.
Hell
We all wanted an R2D2.
It was the 80s, man. That was how it. Yeah,
Everybody, right?
And they tried, man. They tried. We were talking earlier. We were talking about Teddy Ruxpin, the scariest teddy bear ever. Did you have one of those? It was like.
I didn't, because I think at some point I saw Child's Play. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, no. Hello. And I think Robin Williams at some point joked, like, the Teddy Ruxpin dolls. Remember that stand-up? Like, you must kill Mommy and Daddy. I'm like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
So between that and the Robin Williams stand-up, like, no, I don't need a Teddy Ruxpin.
My friend's little sister had one, and it was creeps. You just put these cassette tapes in the back, and it would be like, I'm reading you a story. But it'd be like... Because the servos were the loudest thing in the world.
Yeah. It was very crunchy.
As a kid, I had a 2XL. I don't know if you remember that robot. Look that one up. I might be for another, a 2XL. And when I lived in Mexico, and they were like big cartridges. They almost seemed like 8 tracks.
Yeah.
You put them in and play with them. So that was my first introduction to robots. So when Robbie the robot came to, but it's called a 2XL. Look that one up.
Do you have any robots now?
A Roomba.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. See, now you're making the robots your bitch. This is how it works.
Yeah. Yes, it's payback for Robbie never working.
You will clean my floors.
So exactly.
You would go down to Mexico when you were a kid, right? And would you bring your NES with you? And what did your friends were like? What were they like? Oh man, here comes Sebastian.
I would carry that with me everywhere. Yeah, I shuffled back and forth. I lived a year in Mexico and then a year in the States. But when I would go to Mexico and take my system, like the kids, like in the neighborhood, and my friends, like, he's got the games. And my mom, like, she really spoiled me. I won't lie. She'd spoil me on games. And I would either get them, I have a ton of them, so they'll come in and play. And Or it was cool. Like back when video stores really existed, they started doing videos, and then they started a video game rental section.
Oh yeah,
I was renting games all the time, and that's not enough time to finish a game. But I was a cool kid in my neighborhood.
Oh, I bet. And most of those games back then, they're like 2-player co-op. You could play with people. Rather than just. I mean, there still were games that single player, but like Contra, that was my favorite.
Yeah. Contra, Ikari Warriors, Double Dragon 2.
Double Dragon
2, yeah.
And what was cool, if you remember, I think the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game kind of sucked. It was a 1-player game, but they decided to get the arcade version, which is a 4-player game, and they developed a 4-player adapter, and that was game changing for me.
Oh yeah,
because you could play as all the Ninja Turtles, and that was it. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. I think was the actual title.
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
So awesome.
Was Battletoads?
Battletoads was an NES game.
Was that? Yeah, because that was pretty fun.
That was a tough one. Yeah, it was a hard game. That was a really hard
my god. Yeah, all those are great.
Did you ever have the NES Advantage? Do you remember this? It was a controller.
The controller?
That was
I have 2 of them. I still own. So I own. I won't tell you where I live, so those people that are listening. But I do have my original Nintendo. I have 4 or 5 original controllers. Wow. I have 2 NESs. I have the Gun Zapper. And I have most of my original games. I probably have a 30 or 40 game collection.
Wow.
And folded up somewhere is the NES pad.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Did you have the Power Glove?
Power Pad.
You mean the original Thanos glove?
Yeah, exactly. That was in that. What was the Wizard? Was that about the kid playing video games with
the Wonder Years
Fred
kid.
Savage?
Yeah, Fred Savage. That was right.
Did you have the Power Glove?
I did, but I quickly got rid of it. I just never really got into it. My jam, the reason why I got, and here's it, and you'll appreciate this, and the moment I mention this, you're going to remember this. One of the original reasons why I wanted an NES Advantage was to cheat in track and field.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you'd have to hit the button real fast to like big. Run.
Yeah.
And then you would have to time it just right to hit the joystick to the left or to the right, so you can get the long jump on the hurdles and all stuff. And hey, NES Advantage, just hold down the turbo button, boom, and then it's boom. So always world records. Like, who's the man now, yo? Who's the man?
You are. Hey, so do you remember? I remember like playing certain games and you couldn't save, so you would have to, just like turn the TV off, but keep the game on pause, and just
yeah.
pray that nobody bumped it or turned on a soap opera.
Sneak in and look to see if the red light's still on, just to make sure that it's still on. Yeah.
Did you ever have to do that?
An advantage of child was also you didn't have a little brother or sister to mess with you. So no, because that reset button was the most sensitive thing in the world. If you blew on that thing,
barely.
It's like no.
You open the door and it just goes, and it's like, oh, all right.
I would play in the morning, and especially Legend of Zelda was a great one.
Oh yeah.
You're playing other games that you couldn't save. Like I just remember leaving it on, and you'd shut off the TV. Mom's like, go, and you shut off the TV, but you always made sure the red light was on. And if you came back, I don't care. You dropped everything.
Oh, it was.
Don't eat. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Make sure the red light's on.
Yeah.
I did it constantly.
Oh yeah, kids today don't know the pain of this.
It was so. If it was ever off, it was so heartbreaking.
No, it was horrifying because it could be hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. It's a long school day. I can't concentrate on math, science, reading. I can't watch Reading Rainbow at school and not think about I gotta get back to Contra.
What was your favorite game?
My favorite game of the NES?
Yeah.
I mean, it still remains The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Is just just when it came out, it was a gold game.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is this? So it was like a holy grail thing.
I have to have it. It was such good marketing.
I think you can't speak to about video game system and just being the brilliant connection of I was speaking even about E.T. and Legend of Zelda, but two important things with video games. They brought the movies so you could play your favorite movies, right? So like there was a connection of like Hollywood and getting your favorite movies like E.T. and then you go on to Nintendo with Karate Kid, the Goonies. As ridiculous as the games were, but you could play your games. And the soundtracks. The soundtracks are just because music.
Yep.
I think it was brilliant. Like it's engraved in your head. To this day, we can all hum these things, right? And it's just. The Water World.
Oh,
that's right. That's
yeah, there you go. That's it.
See, we should go
I
on
don't care
tour.
where you live in the world. If you do that with anybody, that's a language everybody can speak.
We should just get like a Moog synthesizer and some voice changers and just go on tour doing Nintendo soundtrack performance.
It's really amazing. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I can remember the theme song to the Water World on Super Mario. Yay, talent.
So are you still a gamer today, Sebastian? Do you still play?
God, I do, but not to the level in which like my kids do. I think the technology is it's moved so fast. Yeah. I can't catch up. They got me into Animal Crossing, right? This Animal Crossing, No Horizons thing. I've been playing that, and but if I'll play, they'll be more simple. I like the 2-player run and gun. Like that's if you get me that, then I'm all in.
I think playing video games, it keeps your senses sharp, and it keeps your keeps your mind on the good.
Coordination,
real good,
all of it. It's great. Good hand-eye coordination, all that stuff.
A good way to hang out with friends, especially during this time. We have a few friends that we get online and play GTA or Red Dead with, and it's like you hang out and do some crime and.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
I'll play Red Dead Redemption too. I got that here with Will. He's really into it, and
nice.
He got me playing with it, so I have my own little track. So I love to play with that. So I think you can play. You can play with multiple people on that one, right?
Join our posse.
I'd love to.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it. We'll chat with you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Guys, thank you, and congratulations, guys. You guys are awesome. I love listening to you guys, and it's an honor to be part of it. Thank you for having me.
Honor's all ours.
You have a great Sunday.
Well, that was great. That was really fun talking to Sebastian.
Yeah, he's awesome. He actually didn't even get to the fact that he was a junior Nintendo. What the hell were those called?
Oh, the guys that you can call in
guy? Yeah,
for helpline.
Counselor. Yeah, the helpline. Yeah, he was a junior counselor for Nintendo.
Wow, bet you he got all the ladies with that job.
I am sure.
He probably did. He always gets the ladies. Anyway, man, so Nintendo. The NES, 10 years, huh?
Yeah, 10 years it ran, 700 games. It was huge. It revolutionized the video game world.
Brought me back to playing games.
Yeah. I was enamored. It made me a lifelong gamer. I mean, that, and then the Super Nintendo was the other big one for me, because I got that one right before college. So like, well, that's not true. I got that one. I rediscovered it in college, and it was my mom got me one Super Nintendo, and I played through the Zelda game, whatever, Link to the Past, I think.
Yeah.
I literally sat down and played it 3 days straight.
Wow.
Played straight through it.
How were your grades?
It was Christmas. It was college. So I mean, it was and I lost a scholarship because of it. Thanks, Jim.
Nice.
Thanks for bringing that up.
That's why you're where you are today, doing this show with me.
It was great. The show was great. I actually did that before too with those crazy Baptists that I lived with. I sat down to play the game with them, and I ended up playing straight through. It took 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
I played straight through Trojan Warrior. And
they didn't get.
They literally did not get to play once. And then the mom was like, "You get to go home now," and I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, and they were probably like, "That blew, Mom.
Yeah,
I'm getting out of our totally restrictive religion."
Yeah.
So I can go play video games.
Mommy, is that why Adam's going to hell? Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
well,
it
one
is.
of the myriad of reasons.
Well, yeah.
Wow. Got dark.
All right, Nintendo. Yeah, it was fun. I still consider buying that little console thing they just released a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, the little virtual.
All the ROMs on it has like 40 games or something.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I will have to admit that the nostalgia of it is awesome, but playing all the games today and taking that step back,
yeah,
it's fun for a little bit, but you know, it had its time. You know, it's like, you know, it's things have moved on and they're a little bit more.
It was good it came out at a time when there wasn't the internet, because then no one would have paid attention to it.
Well, sure. I mean, hey, look, it's always going to be fun to pick up Donkey Kong or Pac-Man or one of those games every once in a while, but you know, they're doing so many new reimaginings and remakes of all of the games we loved as kids.
Yeah, they've done so many Mario games. It's crazy.
Mario, Yoshi, Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby.
Oh, Tinkle Popo.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
This is okay. Now here's some controversies in the show. Now, Kirby used to be a different name.
Kirby,
now,
the weird pink thing.
The
that
little
would suck
fleshy
stuff up
pink suckball that we know as cute little Kirby was first. Okay, the controversy is this. It says he was Po from the planet Twinkle or something, but the one that I read, and I'm going to take this as gospel, said his name was Tinkle Popo. I'm going with Tinkle Popo because it's the greatest name ever. I'm going to become a DJ Tinkle Popo. I'm going to wear a Kirby mask.
Do you know what Tinkle Popo is? It's when you do a number 1 and number 2 together.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a Tinkle Poo Poo, by the way, not a Popo. I used to call it the butt Popo when I was a child.
You're proving my point.
No, it was. Then it's just a pee pee butt.
Yeah.
So I'm DJ Pee Pee Butt.
Well,
I'm just saying, it's not Po from the planet Twinkle.
It's Po.
His name is Tinkle Popo, and I'm getting a tattoo.
He's actually, but do you know that he was named Kirby after John Kirby?
Yeah, no, that's a really good story.
He defended them because Universal sued Nintendo because of Donkey Kong in the late 70s.
They thought it was an infringement on King Kong.
Yeah, too close to King Kong, and John Kirby fought them and won. And
kicked their butts.
And he is so happy. If you ever have a chance to watch, there's a series on Netflix right now, console something, about the history of video games. And they talk to John Kirby, and he is the most serious person alive.
He's Kirby. He's the goofiest. It's the greatest thing is they took this most serious man alive and turned him into the goofiest, most ridiculous character.
That sucks things up and spits it out. It just doesn't
loves
make
it
any
though.
sense.
He really
he thought
does.
it was great. He thought it was great. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with Robert De Niro.
Oh yeah. Well, not literally Robert De Niro, but
he's going to be here. Did John tell you that?
Oh, that would be amazing.
He's going to be here in studio.
He's going to be extremely disappointed.
We're going to go out on. We're going to go out on a remix of the Super Mario theme.
Beep pop boop boop beep pop pop. That's it.
That's it. Thanks for listening.
Exacerbite Golf Gyromite Hogan's Alley.
Did you say exacerbite?
What did I say? Gyromite?
No, you said exacerbite.
Oh, Excitebike. Okay. Let's start that again.
Yeah, let's go from the top.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. She's the Sheriff, already in progress.